Hey, crafty friends, it's Andrea from Prairie Sky DIY, your Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Manitoba. What's the fold today? We are doing a center panel with a twist. I have got some Nature's Sweetness Designer Series paper, Early Espresso, and Crumb Cake cardstock. Our Doggone Friendly stamp set. Haven't decided yet if I'm using my Stampin' Blends, my watercolor pencils. And I've got Crumb Cake here and Early Espresso as our inks. Because I'm not using white on our card, I want to color this so it'll match a little bit better. The white, I think, is a little bit too stark with our Crumb Cake and Early Espresso. So we're just going to start off the paper and we're just going to build up color. Now, I don't really, most of this panel is going to be covered, so I'm not really too terribly fussed with how well the coverage is going to be. I am using a mini Stampin' or blending brush here. I like the minis. They just seem to be a little bit more user-friendly and offer a little bit more control. Now, when I'm doing a bigger area, it really truly doesn't matter that much. Now the center is going to be mostly covered, so I'm not going to spend too much time or attention there. But once you start using the blending brush, you just kind of get into a bit of a zone. And I do want to make sure that we have decent coverage on the end or on the edges, because I really don't want there to be much white poking through, if any. And actually, I think I'm going to do a little bit of a just dipping this right into the ink pad, just to give the edges a little bit more definition. So you can see it just kind of highlights the edges a tiny bit more. So now we're done with that. Now for our cardstock pieces, I've got a 1 inch by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. I've got a card base here that is 4 1/4 by 5.5. This strip is actually going to be stamped, and then the finished dimension is going to be 5.5 by, I'm thinking 3 1/4, but we'll see how it stamps. And then I've got our front panel here is 3 1/4 by 5.5, and then a piece for our center panel, which is 4 1/4 by 3. I'll put all of that on the downloadable tutorial page so that you can take a peek at that later. Now, the first thing that we're going to do is on the small tab, we're going to add our adhesive and then aim for the center of the card. And then we're just going to stick this down and then open it up like we would a normal card. And then we're just going to take our designer series paper that we just decorated and attach it so that it covers this panel. Now, because there will be a little bit of movement, I'm putting a little bit more Stampin' Seal than I probably normally would. Now, I like to go line it up on the edge and the corners, and then lay it so that it does a little bit better of a job. And then for our center panel, we're going to aim for center here. And then we're just going to put our adhesive right in the middle. And again, a little bit more than normal, but you want to make sure that you're not going to go over the edge. And then center-ish. Now, if you do get a little bit of an overshot with your adhesive, you can always go back and erase it with an adhesive eraser, or you can, there's a whole myriad of ways actually that you can cover it up. With an adhesive eraser, you can rub it off with your finger, or depending on where it is and how much it is, a little bit of baby powder or cornstarch will also take care of that. So there is our basic assembly of our card. Now let's get her finished up. And actually, I think I'm going to add another piece to the back here just to cover this up, but I'm not sure yet. We'll see. I might do a second layer of early espresso. So I'm going to grab our extra paper here. Now, when I'm doing a large background stamp, I like to just stamp. I don't need the stamp block. I prefer to put my paper onto the stamp versus the other way around, just because I find it gives me a little bit more control. I'm going to ink it up in early espresso. And then you can lay your cardstock anywhere on the stamp that you want to. I cut it a little bit bigger so that it really doesn't matter that much, because I can always trim it if I don't get it right. And again, put the edge down and then lay the paper down. And I can already tell that this didn't lay well, so I will be trimming it. That was my plan anyway. And then just rubbing it over with the block, I find gives a little bit more even pressure than rubbing your fingers. And then if you want to, you can use take your pick tool or your bone folder and just lift it straight up, and then put this guy right back into our case. And I will wash it when I'm done. Okay, now we're going to trim to fit actually 1/4 of an inch smaller than this guy. So this is 3 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we're going to do, let's do, you know what? I like that little puppy face at the top. So we're going to trim a little bit off the bottom and a little bit off the top. And then this edge didn't stamp exactly the way that I wanted. So let's do there, and then 3 inches. Oh, it's so hard to decide where you want to trim. And then flip it over and we'll just go right there. All right. So we have a bunch of little strips for our scrap bin if we want to. Oh, and I got some inky fingerprints on this, but it's all right. I'll actually just go over it a little bit with our blending brush. This will clean it up and also help hide some of those little oopses. Oh, I didn't grab a sentiment set. Okay, well, we will fix that up too. All right, I actually just did the color combo of the week. So we'll use one of the sentiments from Iconic Imagery. Okay, so now we're going to, do I want to color this? No, I don't think I am going to color it. All right, so we're just going to add our piece here, and I actually just had a thought. I think I did this backwards. So let's see if we can very gently peel this off. Oh, please don't rip. Please don't rip. Yep, here we go. Things in my craft room rarely go as planned, and I often change direction halfway through. So we're actually going to do it this way, so we don't have to worry about putting another strip across the back, because this is going to be our sandwich, and then it'll be in the middle, and then we don't have to worry about anything. I actually saw this card idea off of a US Demos site, LeeAnn Greff. It was several years old, but I'm just kind of updating it and putting my own little bit of a spin on it. Okay, there we go. Now that's what we want to do. Then we don't have to worry about having anything on the inside. So yeah, that part is done. And now we are just going to grab our 2-inch punch. And iconic imagery. Grab a piece of early espresso. And which one is this? 1 1/4. This is a retired punch, but I was playing with an idea earlier. And because these are teeny tiny stamps, it's going to fit the teeny tiny spot perfectly. Okay, 4. And you. And I think we're going to use the little heart just to fill up the space a little bit more. All right, I could grab a smaller block, but where's the fun and adventure in that? Okay, I'll stamp 4. I've been trying really hard to be really good about sticking the smaller stamps right back in the case because, frankly, I'm kind of tired of hunting for them. And then you. And then we're going to do the little heart. I really love the look of early espresso and crumb cake together. I think crumb cake, I don't know though, basic beige is rapidly taking a spot in my favorite area. Iconic imagery will actually be available as an online exclusive July 3rd. I really like it. I love that it's got different seasons and you can do different things with it. I've got all kinds of ideas. Okay, so, and I just noticed that I accidentally shaved off the edge of our circle. So I'm going to cover up this ink splotch that I created there. I'm going to use dimensionals for this one. I like sometimes having a little bit of a lift on my cards just to make it a little bit different. Okay, and then make sure we line up the edge. And then we're just going to put For You on a single dimensional right in the center. And I don't know what we're going to use for bling. For You right there. And let's see, what have I got? Oh, actually, the basic gray and smoky slate pearls are, I don't know, I really love these. I've been using them a ton lately. I will do there. 1, 2, and then our third one. I don't know, people say that gray or silver and gold don't really go together. I like them together. All right, and then we're going to grab, yeah, the piece that I just said was a scrap is actually the inside of my card. So let's do a deep dive into my bin of goodies. I've actually just changed around how I'm storing my card stock, and I've got bins with clear envelopes with all of my colors. I haven't alphabetized them yet, so it's a bit of a challenge trying to find the right color. I know I have crumb cake though. I think crumb cake is one of those colors that I'd be very surprised if I ever ran out of, but of course I can't find it right now. All right. So, no crumb cake that I can easily put my hand on. Oh, actually, nope. So, let's do a piece of very vanilla. with some crumb cake ink rubbed on top. Oh, welcome to my craft room where I go with the flow and see what happens. I don't know. I don't get too terribly fussed about what's going on in my craft room because it's supposed to be fun. There's really no point in getting flustered or upset. And sometimes where you go ends up being just as fun or sometimes even a little bit more interesting. All right. Crumb cake, where'd you go? There you are. And then we're just going to do a super, super, super light coat just to kind of make it a little bit of a different, I don't know. I like very vanilla, but sometimes it's a little bit too bright. So just going over it. Plus it'll give it a little bit of a distressed look as well, which I kind of like every once in a while. It's not my usual go-to. But there's just something about this card that seems to match that style. And again, 100% not the direction I was intending to go, but it's where we ended up. All right, we're going to put our adhesive on the back. If you wanted to, you could also add a sentiment to the inside. But I don't think, you know, because this is also about 1/4 inch smaller, there is a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, so we're just going to press this down. And there you go. There is our center flap card, a little bit of a different look. You could add some ribbon onto it if you wanted to color it with your blends or your watercolor pencils. I actually really like how simple this looks without any coloring. If you do give it a try, I would love to see you show off your stuff on my Facebook page. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you are notified every single time a brand new video goes live. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Have a great day.